Well, y'all, this is a Diddy recap of today. Believe it is day. Let me see what day it is. It is day. God Almighty, what day is it? What day is it? It is Diddy Day 7 recap. Shout out to Nika and Knight for this. Let's go.
And he was really trying to impress her. This was in 2007 when she just was getting acquainted with him and things like that. So they talked about, and this is just a recap of some of the stuff that they went over yesterday, so we can segue into today. Um, so he said that
Come on, Nick.
when Cassie came, that she was very impressed with Diddy's lifestyle. And he overheard basically Diddy telling him that he felt like Cassie was good because she's young and he got her right where he wants her and that she's moldable. Okay? He talked about how she was easy to be molded or whatever. So then that was the end of the day. They stopped right there. And so now we pick up today. So right off the bat, before he took the stand, the prosecution was trying to figure out like what's acceptable and what's not acceptable to talk about as it pertains to Diddy extorting Cassie's mom. Okay? So before the mom even took the stand, they were trying to lay the ground rules on what they can touch on and what they couldn't touch on as it pertains to the extortion. They were going over this because she was going to follow and testify right after James got off the stand. So they ended up calling James to the stand and they said, can you remind the jury of what disagreements you observed with Diddy and Cassie? And he said that I think he said that he would tell Cassie to like follow like to focus on modeling. Now when I'm in there, I'm writing with a pen and a pad, right? So sometimes when they write, they're like talking quick. Just a disclaimer, I don't write like verbatim word for word what's being said because I'm writing with a pen and a pad. So some stuff like it'll be a summary of what was said versus like a transcript. On a laptop, I'm able to type a lot quicker on court cases where I'm able to bring my laptop, but a pen and a pad, I kind of like just jot like a summary down. So just know that this is not like transcript. You know, I'm reading like summaries of how things went. So they talked about, they wanted to focus him on a situation that happened in 2009. And basically he said that there was a blog post that Puff Daddy was very angry about. He said, they were like, do you remember in 2009 about a situation that involved a blog post? And then he said, yes, I do. He said, I had the day off, but Mr. Combs, he, I guess, started doing, he said he had the day off, and he was doing research on, I guess, the next tattoo that Diddy wanted. And so he said,
Come on,
so he
Nick.
said he was at the estate and Diddy was out like at the club with Cassie. So Diddy was out and he was at the house. At the club with Cassie, there was an allegation made that Diddy had beat up Cassie. Okay, so when Diddy came in to back to the house where he was at, he said, as soon as Diddy got to the door, he came to him, looked over his shoulder, and said somebody was lying on him and Cassie. He said that Diddy looked through his browser history to see what he had been looking looking up and to see if he was basically like the leak to the information that he allegedly had beat Cassie. They were like, what was the
I'll be right back, y'all.
allegation? Like, what did he say that somebody was lying on him about?
I'll be right back.
He said that there was a post on Lipstick Alley, and somebody basically said that they saw him hit Cassie at the club. So they wanted to know, like, okay, so what was his like reaction? Like, how did you perceive like how he was acting in that moment? He said it was jarring. Like he had never done anything like that before. He instructed me to, and then so they wanted to know if Cassie had came back with him from the club. So while he was at the house, Diddy and Cassie had went to the club. When Diddy came back, he came back and Cassie wasn't with him. So they were basically like, okay, so where was Cassie at? He said that Cassie was in the hotel at the London hotel, and he was instructed to take Cassie food a few days later after that interaction that he had with her. So he goes to take Cassie some food, and once he got there, he was bringing her Roscoe's chicken and waffle. Now, he talked about how he basically, he's dropped off food or ran errands and done things and met up with Cassie at hotels before. And normally, whenever he would bring something to Cassie at a hotel, Cassie would be the one that would answer the door. He said, but this particular instance, a few days after that allegation that Puff Daddy was all frantic and, nervous about somebody making an allegation that he hit Cassie at the club, he said this particular time when he went to go take Cassie some food, he said that Puffy's security is the one who answered the door. So they were like, was that odd that Puffy's security would answer the door? And he was like, yeah, it was strange that his security was the one that was like getting the food and everything, but not Cassie. They were like, well, did you see Cassie? He was like, no, I just knew that I was bringing the food for Cassie, but Puffy's security was in the room. So I took that to mean, or they were basically trying to infer that, and this is what I feel like they were trying to like show the jury, was that Puffy put his hands on Cassie, made her go to the hotel, and made his security force her in the hotel. Now that's not what the James guy said, but that's kind of what I got from how he described the situation and saying that, Cassie was...
The world? Come on.
Cassie was inside the room, but he didn't actually, see her. Or not.
Okay, never mind. Let it play.
See her. Or no, I think he did. Or did he say he seen her, far off to the couch, and then the other people, they answered the door, and they, it was given, they were basically there to make sure she stayed put after he done put the pause on her. Okay? So, they said, did you ever look up the blog post that Puffy was all worried about? And he was like, yeah, I Googled it. And I Googled Diddy Cassie Los Angeles Club, and it came up to this, article that was on Lipstick something. He was talking about Lipstick Alley, but he was like, Lipstick something. So they switched subjects, and they started to talk back about how he would set up these hotel rooms for Diddy. Whenever Diddy would, book hotels and be at a hotel, they switched the subject from the whole interaction dealing with Cassie and that whole thing to the advancing. They called it advancing the hotel room. So they wanted to know who directed you to set up and like basically advance these hotel rooms. He said it would be Mr. Combs. Did you book hotels for Combs? He said no. Who would book them? He said, I don't know. Were they booked under his name? And he said no. The hotels will be booked under Frank Black. And so he explained that basically he would get to the hotel and tell them like, hey, I'm here for the room for Frank Black. And then he would get a hotel key. And then once he got the hotel key that was designated for Frank Black's room, then he would go up and set the mood for Diddy. He talked about how he would set up these mood lights and he would set up lights for Diddy. He talked about how he would have like different things that Diddy would want, like his slides, his toiletry bag, and applesauce. I'm like, applesauce? Like, why would he specifically want applesauce? Like, y'all be eating applesauce? I mean, I'm not food judging, but applesauce is so nasty to me. And it came out in testimony that Diddy, like, and I'm getting off topic. They talked about this later, but when Diddy's lawyer came up, they were like, asking him, like, did he know that the applesauce was for Diddy's cheeseburger? And I'm like, what? But anyways, that's off topic. Let me get back on topic. Anyways, so in this particular part of the testimony, he said that, you know, he would have to make sure that Diddy had his Jordan sweatsuit, slides, his toiletry bag, applesauce, Ciroc vodka, and they were like, what kind of things were in the toiletry bag? You know? And they said, you know, he would have his cosmetic products, he would have different ointments. Then he said that Diddy would have just for men. I'm like, is he telling that Diddy was wearing a perm? Because ain't just for men a perm? Just for me was like the kids.
No, just for men is hair coloring. Right? No, it's hair coloring.
He said Diddy would specifically have the just for men, and then he would also have razors as well. So, then they wanted to know what other things would you have to have there. He said that he would also have to set up, like, you know, his medicine bag and make sure his medicine bag was there. And he also had to make sure that Diddy's personal LV bag was there as well. And they wanted him to basically describe what type of, you said that's dye? Is hair dye?
Yeah, it's hair dye.
Oh, I thought just for men was a perm, child.
No, hair
okay,
dye.
Y'all say it's hair dye. I thought it was a perm. Let me look it up. Because y'all know I like to fact check. Is just for men a perm? Because I thought it was a perm. Just hair product. Okay, it's dye. I thought it was a perm, child. When he said just for men, I'm thinking just for me. That's what I was thinking. Shoot, just for me was a perm, but just for men is hair dye. Okay, cool. We got that established. So, anyways, he said that he would have his LV bag, and they wanted him to describe like what type of bag was the LV bag, and they said it was kind of like a bag where you can kind of like put a computer in it. They wanted to know about like money and stuff, and he said that he would also have money and like $10,000 or more, and they said like who would have the LV bag, and he talked about how the security would be the one to carry around the LV bag. So they wanted to know what type of stuff was in his medicine bag. He said that he had 25 to 30 different pill bottles in the medicine bag. They said he had water pills, pills to increase his sperm count, ecstasy pills, and he named a couple other pills, but I couldn't get them up. I was stuck at pills to increase the sperm count. Now, I was today years old when I found out that Diddy was really trying to make sure he was a baby making machine. Okay? He was trying to make sure he was a baby making machine, child. So anyways, they wanted to know if any of the supplies ran out, who was responsible to replenish the supplies once they ran out. And he said he was, like, I was the one that was responsible for replenishing the supplies when they went out. So they're like, okay, so like if you're going out, like while he's, you know, in the room or doing whatever he got going on, and you go out to replenish these items, they basically wanted to know like how they were paid for, like how they were paid, how was he, you know, did he pay for it, was he reimbursed? And he basically said like he would basically get a check from Bad Boy after he submitted like receipts, like so he would submit receipts for the things that he bought, and then he would in turn be reimbursed with a check for Bad Boy. And they said, do you remember the head of finance? And he said there was a guy by the name of Mr. Ferguson. So they said, were you reimbursed for everything? And so he said there was specific items that he would have to get like on the side. You get what I'm saying? Like there was like the regular stuff that was, you know, stuff like ketchup or stuff like, you know, food items or like minor stuff would go like on the company reimbursement. But there was specific items that he got on the side that he would have to go to security, get money from security, and then he would have to pay for these specific items in cash, because when they do the numbers and they do their line items of, you know, what the company spent, what the company bought, he didn't want these particular items on that line item of things. So he said Astroglide, baby oil, and I think he said, did he say condoms?
Freak ass nigga is this non God. Freak ass nigga is this non God.
Was paid for in cash, and that's where he would get the money from the security. So they like, which
again, freaky ass nigga is this non God. Freaky ass nigga is this non God.
Security would give you the money. He said the guy by the name of Bonds, Roger Bonds, would give him the money, and then he would take the cash to go buy the Astroglide and the baby oil. So they showed a picture of Roger Bonds on the screen, and they said, did you interact with Combs when you were setting up the hotel room? Or, you know, would Combs be alone in the hotel room? They wanted to know, like, when you setting up these hotels, what you setting it up for? Are you setting it up for him to be by himself? Or was he in this hotel with other people? So he said he never stayed alone. He said he was mostly with Cassie, in the hotel, and he would, secure it for other women as well. So he always had a companion with him in the hotel when he would set up these hotels for Diddy. Um, they wanted to know, like, if Diddy is in a hotel and he wanted you to bring him something, how would you know, like, that he needed something? And he said Diddy would basically text him and tell him, I need this, this, or that. They said anything unusual happened when you went and you brought Diddy stuff, to the hotel. So he said on one occasion when Diddy asked him to bring him something, he saw some strange going on. Okay? He said that Diddy asked him to bring his iPod. Okay? So this happened in Miami in 2008. Diddy wanted him to bring his iPod. Okay? So when he got to the door and he knocked on the door, nobody answered. And so he said he knocked.
Come on.
So that he can iPod, but nobody answered the door. So he said, being that he's the one who set up the hotel room and at the hotel, he had the hotel key. So he said he used his hotel key to go.
Uh-oh.
Come
on, Nick. Come on.
It's glitching. Okay, hold on.
Come on.
Let me see if this is better. Am I froze or is it better? Hold on.
A little bit better, not much. Come on, Nick.
Hopefully it's better. Is it better? Is it better?
Yeah, you coming in better.
I'm sorry, y'all. You know what? Next time I go and I'm like away from home and I have to cover something, I'm going to have to get one of those like Wi-Fi things that you buy or whatever.
Yeah, mobile Wi-Fi.
But it looks like the signal is back, so let's get to it. Let's get to it. Okay, so he says that when he got to the door, he knocked on the door. Nobody answered. So being that he was the one who basically advanced the hotel, he's the one who set up the hotel room, he had a key. So he said that he opened the door, and when he opened the door, Cassie was laying in bed with a sheet up to her. And, she laying back, and I think he said she was like laying, and I think he said she was like asleep or something. And then over to the side, he seen this guy scurry off to the side. So they like, okay, so who's the guy that scurried up to the side? Like, was it Diddy? Who was it? He was like, no, it wasn't Diddy. He said that it was a naked man with a big wonka, 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 wonka. He said that when he didn't necessarily see Diddy right away. All he saw was a big, well-endowed swinging and scurrying off while Cassie was in the bed with the sheet. And he said that the guy, he had a condom on his wanker. Okay? So he was like, the guy was.
Why is she telling us
this? He had a
this?
condom on his wanker, and it was a big one.
What is she telling us
he was
this?
real well endowed. Was what
Why
the term he used.
is she telling us
like,
this?
He had that condom on, and he had that shrunk, and he done scurried off to the side of the room.
Oh God!
And all of that. So they was like, what they said, child? They like, okay, so once you dropped off the iPad or whatever, he like basically he got up out of there. He dropped off the iPad
And get the hell
he got
out.
up out of there. So they wanted to know the next time that he saw Diddy or Cassie and talked to them, like, did you bring up the fact that you seen this guy with this big King Kong schlong while she was in the bed? And he said, listen, that wasn't none of my business. That wasn't none of my business. He said, I didn't talk to them about that. They like, you didn't bring it up to him? Y'all didn't discuss what you just witnessed? He said, no ma'am, no ham, no turkey. Okay? No ma'am, no ham, no turkey. I did not. I didn't talk to them folks about none of that. Okay? So then they wanted to shift gears, and they wanted to know if he ever picked up drugs for Diddy. And they wanted to know, if so, what kind. And he said that he would pick up Percocets for him. And so they wanted to know, when he picked up these prescription Percocets for Diddy, whose name would...
Percocets, Molly Percocets, Percocets, Molly Percocets. My bad, y'all. Shout out to Future.
They'd be under. He said that when he would go pick up the drug, the prescription, like, go to like the pharmacy or whatever, and pick up the Percocets, he said that sometimes the prescription would be in Diddy's name or his name. So they done put the prescription in the assistant name. So they said, did you give them permission to put prescriptions in your name? He said, I don't recall that. So then they wanted to know, whenever Diddy got like actual like drugs, not prescription drugs, but actual drugs, they wanted to know who the dealer was. So he said the dealer was a guy by the name of One Stop. So they wanted to know what kind of, encounters did he have with that. So he gonna say that at night, or they wanted to know if he ever witnessed Puff taking any of the pills or whatever. He said, child, get this. He said that he saw Puffy take a pill and it was ecstasy. He said it was blue, but it was a pill shaped like Obama's face.
Huh?
I'm like,
What?
is happening? He said the ecstasy pill was like shaped like President Obama. I'm like,
And we got 6 more
That
weeks of this.
Obama ecstasy pills. That's what's going on out here. Like, oh, what? Can you imagine an Obama X pill? Like, what? Why? Like, just making it a blue pill wasn't enough. Y'all had to make it in the shape of Obama, the president. Like, what? It's crazy. Somebody in the chat said you can have them in different shapes and colors. I didn't know that. See, I never took them before. I didn't know. I'm like, you learn something new every day. Obama ecstasy is crazy. So they wanted to know if he, secured the drugs for Combs. He said yes. He said one time they were in Central Pay, and one of Diddy's friends told him that he wanted some booger sugar. He said he called one of Diddy's other friends or whatever, and he provided an 8-ball of booger sugar. So they said,
Dang.
So did Diddy tell you to get the booger sugar? He said no, he didn't. They said, well, why did you go and secure this booger sugar? He said, my job is to take care of him and his friends. And this was a request of one of Diddy's friends. So since his job is to, do what needs to be done for Diddy and his friends, when one of Diddy's friends asked for the booger sugar, he went and got that 8-ball, because that's what he was supposed to do. Get what they needed. They said, were there times that you consumed any, drugs? He said, yeah. He said one time he went to a New Year's Eve party that Puffy, I guess, and them had. He said he was at the New Year's Eve party, and he was basically able to, enjoy the night that night, okay? So he went into Puffy's bag, and he took one of Puffy's X pills, his ecstasy pills.
Dang. Yeah, he was lit.
So they said, so did Puffy give you the ecstasy? He said no. He said, I knew what it was. I just went and I helped myself. Okay? He went and helped himself, and he didn't say that it was the collection of Obama pills, but he said he went and helped himself to an X pill that night. And so they wanted to make sure, and Puffy, he didn't tell you to do it? He nah. I went and got me a little pill so I can have some fun myself. I just went and got it. So they said, were you off of, anything else? He said, I was drinking Ciroc, and he said he started Diddy bopping. Now, this is an older white man, okay? So, this is an older white man.
I'm trying my best not to
laugh.
laugh, but
Pill, some Ciroc, and he said he was at the party and he started Diddy bopping.
You can't make this shit up.
He basically said he was off a good one, okay?
Got the white boy doing the Diddy bop.
Diddy bopping and all.
The white boy was on the Diddy bop.
He said, what was you doing? He said, I was up in here.
Damn, look at this. Nick can't even quit laughing. She can't even quit laughing.
Right on the paper. I'm like, I said, did he just say he was Diddy bopping? He said he was up in there Diddy bopping. He said I was vibing and enjoying myself. So they said after the party, a few days later, they were back in NYC, and Puff was basically reviewing the footage from the party. So he said at the New Year's Eve party, Puff Daddy had people that were videotaping the party. So when they got back to New York, Puffy was basically looking over the footage to see, everything that was going on at the party. He said that once Puffy was looking at the footage, he like called him over there. He said, "Is that you dancing around in the party?" He said, "Yeah, And then he wanted to know, was you on something or was you sober? And the guy told Diddy like, "Oh, I was off an X pill," And then Diddy replied to him and said, "Oh, okay. I'm gonna keep this footage in case I need it." So basically, he like, "Oh, that's how you get down? Oh, okay." So Diddy made him aware, "I got the footage, and I'm gonna keep this tucked in case I need it later." Okay? So, then they went to talk about, an instance where something went missing, that Puffy, like a Cartier bracelet went missing out of Puffy's house. So he said, one week, I think he said like I was off work and he was like in a hotel and he was off and he got notified that a Cartier bracelet had went missing. So they wanted to know how was he basically notified that the Cartier bracelet went missing. He said somebody by the name of Uncle Polly came to his hotel or his house or wherever he was at. I think he said that he was in a hotel. He said Uncle Polly came for a security check. And he said that he needed to make sure that he wasn't the one who took the bracelet. And he said that they went through everything that he had. They went through all of his stuff, all of his belongings, all of his paper, everything that he had to do this security check to make sure that he didn't take his Cartier bracelet. And he was like, it was, basically in so many words, he was basically saying like, he didn't say it was ironic, but what he was like inferring was, it was kind of ironic because I wasn't even working at that time. So why they come and checking me for it? They was making sure that he didn't have it. He said that they was searching him. They searched his girlfriend. They was making sure that they combed through everything to see if he took this bracelet. And then he said after they were done searching, they didn't find anything. So after they did all of this searching and everything, they didn't find nothing. So then they wanted to know, was there an instance where he had to take a lie detector test? He said that it was 2 different occasions where Diddy made him take a lie detector test. He said the first time that he had to take a lie detector test, there was some cash that went missing. So they went and got a guy who was a former FBI agent. So this former FBI agent took him to this office and basically made him do a lie detector test. And they were like, well, who sent you to meet up with the guy who was doing the lie detector test. He said that it was somebody who worked for Diddy by the name of Dia. He said it was very intimidating. You know, like the whole scenario of him having to go and take this lie detector test. He said it was very intimidating. So then they wanted to know what happened the second time that he had to take a lie detector test. And he also said that when he went to take the lie detector test, that the FBI agent like made a comment and let him know that he's the best to administer these lie detector tests. So, you know, just know if you know. So, they wanted to know what happened the second time. He said Mr. Combs had a watch stolen, and this is when he said, you know, I was off work that day, and he had to take a lie detector test for the watch that was stolen. They wanted to know the guy who gave you the lie detector test the second time, was that the same person that gave you the lie detector test the first time? And he said, yeah, it was. He said he was more nervous for some reason the second go round when he found out that he had to take this lie detector test for this watch. So they were like, you know, basically probing like what came up during the lie detector test. So he said the question as it pertains to the watch, he said he passed that question with flying colors. Basically, I didn't steal that watch. I passed that part. He said, but he admitted to the lie detector test guy that when Diddy would have like bottles of Ciroc, he would help himself to some bottles of Ciroc and, you know, take some Ciroc bottles. He said he would also take Diddy's jeans. So he said Diddy would have like these boxes of jeans, and like I guess he would like get sent like, you know, these clothes or whatever. And he said before Puff Daddy got to see the jeans, he would look through and help himself to the ones that he liked. Okay? He said,
some weird, you know, motherfuckers.
I gotta see which ones I like first. And he would help himself to the ones that he liked, and then he would show Diddy.
Not only is Diddy weird, the people that around Diddy are weird.
The jeans. So then they wanted to know, was there anybody else that worked for Diddy that also had to take a lie detector test as well? He said that, you know, he knew that Capricorn Clark, she also had to take a lie detector test. So they wanted to know what was the parameters that Capricorn had to take a lie detector test. He said that he found this information, you know, third party through Roger Bonds. So basically, Roger Bonds was gossiping and told him that Capricorn had to go and take a lie detector test. So they wanted to know what was the situation where she had to take a test, and he said that and they wanted to know how did it come about? Like, how did it come about that y'all start gossiping about Capricorn taking a test? So he said he found a loose diamond, and he went to give it to Roger Bonds. Like, hey, like this is like, I guess a diamond had came out of like some jewelry or whatever, and it was like a loose diamond. So he went to go give it to Roger Bonds. So when he went to go give it to Roger Bonds told him like, oh, don't worry about this. This is a cubic zirconian. This is a fake diamond. This ain't real. So he was like, oh, this not real. And so I guess they got into the conversation and the dialogue that Capricorn Clark, she had a bag of Diddy jewelry and she got jumped and beat up, and some people took the jewelry. They stole some jewelry from Capricorn that belonged to Diddy, and they replaced it with cubic zirconium jewelry. So when this jewelry came up missing, Capricorn had to take a lie detector test to make sure that she wasn't a part of the jewelry heist. So then they wanted to know if he remembered a situation that happened at a place called Mel's Diner. And if he recalled the situation that happened at Mel's Diner, who was he with? He said that he went to Mel's Diner with Diddy's security by the name of D-Rock. They said, oh no, they said, do you remember that you went to a situation with D-Rock? He said, yes. It was the fall of 2008. He said, we were at the studio 3 or 4 a.m. and Puffy was hungry. He said, so they were at the studio. Puffy, he called him Combs. Combs was hungry and he wanted a cheeseburger. So him and D-Rock went to Mel's Diner so that they could get Puffy the cheeseburger. When they got to Mel's Diner, he said D-Rock looked over and said, that's motherfucking Suge Knight. So he said D-Rock hopped out the car when he seen Suge Knight and went and told him, what's up? So he said he went up to him and said, what's up? And then Suge looked at him, and I guess at first Suge didn't know who he was, like at the first what's up. And so Suge, I guess, he looked at him like what's up? And D-Rock told him, what's up? It's me, D-Rock. I'm Biggie's boy. So I guess they gave each other dap, and then they went about their separate ways. So he said, so then they're like, okay, so what happened after? He said him and D-Rock went inside of Mel's Diner. When him and D-Rock was inside the diner, he was basically like, they ordered the food or whatever that they was supposed to order, but from the inside of the diner, he was peeping the scene on the outside of the diner. Okay? So he said while they were in the diner, he noticed 4 SUVs enter the parking lot, and when these 4 SUVs entered the parking lot, each SUV went to a different area of the parking lot. So he's sitting there in the diner and he looking like 4 SUVs swoop in and they all assume a different position, a different area of the 4 corners of the parking lot. So as he see that each of the SUVs take a different area of the parking lot, he said he witnessed a guy pass Suge Knight a gun. So as soon as he seen somebody pass Suge Knight a pew-pew, he said they had to get up out of there. Like, it's time to go. We got to get up out of here, okay? So, I guess he sensed that, something finna go on. We got to get to stepping, okay? So he seen somebody pass Suge the pew-pew, and him and D-Rock left, and they went back to Diddy house. So they're like, he say he get to the house, Diddy and Cassie is already outside. He pull up, Cassie looked like she trying to tell Puff, like, don't go, like, like, no, don't go, don't go. She all frantic. I think he said Cassie was crying and all that, trying to get Diddy not to leave and go with them to wherever they was about to go. So he said D-Rock was in a car, and no, he said they pulled up in the SUV that he was in. So when they got to the house, he got out the car thinking that he was about to go back in the house. But when he told them to get into a different car. So they switched vehicles. They get into the car. Diddy told him to get in the driver's seat and drive. D-Rock got in the passenger seat and Diddy got in the back. So as they get in the car, Diddy tells him to, go on. He noticed that Diddy had 3 pew-pews on him. Okay? So he said Diddy had 3 pew-pews on him, and they were like, what were you thinking in this moment? He was like, I was basically thinking if anything went down, they wouldn't recognize the car because they had switched cars. And so he said, and then once he looked back and seen that P. Diddy had 3 pew-pews, they were like, so what were you thinking about then? He said he was thinking Diddy got 3 pew-pews and it's 3 of us in this car. 3 guns, 3 people. He said, after that, he was like, child, this too much. He said, after that, I put in a 6-month notice that I'm about to leave. Now, when he said that he put in a 6-month notice, I'm like,
That's weird.
A 6-month notice? I don't know. Something about a 6-month notice sounded like, I don't know. It's just like he had to have an excuse. To me, when I heard that part, it sounded more so like he had to have a sensational excuse of why he stopped working with Diddy. Because when he actually stopped working with Diddy, like, it wasn't really, they didn't have nothing to, like, land it on or whatever as to be the reason why he stopped. So he like, I gave a 6-month notice. And they're like, why did you, give a 6-month notice? Like, why did you stay and hang around for 6 months? He said he wanted to be able to train the next assistant. So whenever Diddy would hire somebody else, he would be able to train them and get them up to speed and get them prepared for the job. So after that, he said, that little whole interaction with Suge, he realized his life was in danger. So he had to put in his notice. So after that, they didn't have any further questions. And now it was Diddy's lawyer, Agnifilo. So they wanted to touch back on the diner scene. They said the diner incident, do you remember telling the government a different story? And then he said, when I talked to the government, I didn't tell them the full story. Because once we got to the diner situation and I was telling them about the diner, they told me to stop talking before I incriminate myself. So then the lawyer basically started to try to get him to trip up. Like, they wanted him to retell the story about what happened at the diner. And they were trying to, like, flip the details and trying to, like, trip him up. But he just kept reiterating the same thing. They went to go get food. Puffy was hungry. They went to the diner. They saw Suge. And then they were like, well, how did you hear the conversation that D-Rock had with Suge?
I'm going
Like,
to end
was
this
your
right
door
here.
open? Was your window down?
Later,
Were
y'all.
you out